Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Say hello to the all-new Alexa Plus and see how Alexa can do so much more for you. Need tickets to see your favorite artist? Craving your comfort restaurant? Just sit back, relax, and talk naturally. Alexa's on it. It learns your style, anticipates what's next, and makes it happen across Echo, Fire TV, and more. Learn more at amazon.com/new Alexa.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, some stunning details are coming out about Nick Reiner. Of course, he is the son of Rob Reiner and Michelle Reiner, who were brutally murdered in their own home. And their son is accused of this heinous, horrible crime. Now they're finding out that there's some eerie video showing Nick Reiner calmly strolling near his parents' home soon before the gruesome murders. Seen in video, just kind of calmly strolling the neighborhood right by the parents' Brentwood home just hours before they were murdered. The 32-year-old dressed in blue jeans, a long sleeve shirt, carrying a backpack, strolling by a local gas station just before midnight on Saturday. And they believe that they were killed just hours before. Also, we're getting details that in this particular case, also that both the parents had their throats slit. Think about this. So they believe that they were sleeping at the time, had their throats slit, and therefore this timetable looks like it happened soon after the fight at the Conan O'Brien house, where apparently they got into a big argument, Rob Reiner and his son. And then the allegation is that, well, maybe he went for a walk, carried a backpack, who knows what he had in that backpack, and then came home and possibly at that moment killed his parents. It is just so horrible. And as we're also getting details about this case, we're finding out that Nick Reiner, who's now been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. By the way, he will be arraigned tomorrow. He was supposed to be in court today, but that was delayed. But Nick Reiner also was in and out of rehab 17 times at least, many of them before the age of 22. So this was just a troubled kid. And a troubled adult because of Geller. So at the end, he was 32 years old. And apparently he and his father had a big blow up at the Conan O'Brien party. They were seen sort of shouting and screaming at each other. And then it sounds like he may have murdered both of his parents while they were sleeping, slitting their throats and then also stabbing them as well. Authorities saying tonight that they found the knife and that they have what they believe is the murder weapon. We should be hearing a lot more tomorrow. But apparently also today, part of the reason he had not been sort of medically observed, if you will, which is one of the procedures that happens in different cases, especially in murder cases. This is also, by the way, a first-degree murder case, so it is death penalty eligible. There are 2 individuals. There also may be special circumstances. When you use a knife, there's special circumstances and a whole bunch of other different attributes. So this could be death penalty eligible. So this is just a horrible, disgusting, just heartbreaking case on so many levels. And the fact that this guy, now it looks like, killed both of his parents while they were sleeping after he had a big fight with his father. This is just really, really horrible. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Meantime, also in the Brown University case, we're still not getting a lot of details in that one. How is it possible that an Ivy League university seems to be so clueless on so many different fronts, guys? This is something we talked about last night on the Rita Cosby Show, and tonight it seems like they are just as clueless. They keep putting out video. They have some surveillance footage, but the reality is the surveillance footage is very, very limited, guys, and a lot of it is from ring cams from neighbors. And how come a top university in this country with an $8 billion endowment and a $70,000 a year tuition, how come this kind of a university with that kind of money going towards it seems to have very poor cameras? They have, it seems like cameras from like 1910. Apparently, the cameras were not also hooked up to the local police department, so they could have been able to get a real-time read. They could have been synced up, but it doesn't sound like they even did that in this particular case. So it sounds like they were way behind in terms of technology. And in general, there's a lot of these cameras out there that are these high-security cameras, which you can do facial recognition. You can do AI facial checking and facial technician, where you can recognize the individual almost instantly. They have them at airports. They have them at a lot of big places. How come a major university doesn't have that kind of technology in their camera? They don't even have cameras in the right places, it looks like, because they're only looking at this guy who's apparently 5'8", stocky build, wearing a mask. If you look at him, maybe you might recognize him if you know his stride, the way he walks, but you can't see his face really because there's this horrible grainy surveillance footage from a 1910 type camera. I'm being facetious, obviously, after that time, but it's obviously an extremely old, archaic system. And that's shocking given the amount of money that was going into a university like Brown University. Well, first off, here's the Providence police, because they still can't answer a basic question. Remember, the guy comes in to this building and opens fire on these students. And listen to this, because there's reports that the guy may have shouted. We've heard some people say that he shouted Allah Akbar. That's an unconfirmed report. There's reports that he shouted something else. Police don't even know that. How could you not know that? There's all these students there. You would think it'd be pretty easy to be able to figure out. Just ask them, did you hear something? And if you heard it from multiple students who were physically there, you would assume, obviously, it's correct. But it seems like Providence police are like the Keystone cops. Listen to this. They're refusing to even say any of these kind of details. Listen to this one. Here it is. Here's the Providence police a little bit ago.
Now, there's a report the shooter yelled something right before his shot came in. Could you tell us what that was?
Yeah, it's part of the investigation, Johnny Muktia.
Now, the only reason I asked that, though, is, for instance, like with the Unabomber, his brother recognized the writing. So it's possible a friend or family member might recognize if the person said something that was significant.
Correct.
That's why you don't, other than the 9mm, is there anything else inside that auditorium that you could tell us?
No, that's correct. And listen, like I said earlier, investigations will bring us to evidence that we need to collect in order to be able to prosecute. With that being said, we're going to continue to collect evidence, and if it leads us to something to that nature that's going to be extremely helpful for us to identify somebody, we'll be the first ones to put it out.
Alex, follow up on John's question. Did the suspect yell, like has been reported, and there's been some erroneous reporting, but did he yell when he came to the classroom? And how valuable have witness statements been from those who survived?
Listen, like, my heart goes out to the victims. It goes out to the families, and I'll tell you that their cooperation has been extremely helpful. And that, with that being said, we'll continue, and I'm going to respect the fact that, and I hope that they get better, and my heart and soul goes out to them. So,
did he yell though?
So that's something that we're investigating. We took statements, and we have to confirm that.
So,
Mayor, a lot of cell phones. Question for somebody.
We're gonna wrap it up here.
You better wrap it up there, because you don't know where you're going. And here is Chris Schwecker. He was the assistant director at the FBI in charge of all criminal investigations for a long, long time. And he says he cannot believe all the mistakes made by the police there at Brown University. He is absolutely shocked. Here's just a few.
Most experts will tell you there were some missteps in this investigation, and even before that. I mean, you want to be in a crime prevention posture at any university. You want to deter bad things from happening on campus. And when I do assessments for colleges and universities, I make sure that they know that security can be compatible with an open college environment, but you still need cameras, you still need access controls, you still need a crisis management system, a crisis notification system, and you have to make investments in that regard. And a lot of times at universities, they think that privacy, they're obsessed with privacy and Big Brother on the campus and that sort of thing, and they just can't get past that. And that's sort of just one aspect of this. That's the prevention side of it. On the investigation side, you could tell there were some missteps there with the rest of, and I'll call it an arrest. They tried to dance around that and not call it an arrest. When you pick somebody up, put them in handcuffs, take them downtown to the police station against their will, they are under arrest, and they had to unarrest that person. Whether that diverted the investigation is debatable, but we know that whenever you have at least some video, and they have some video, there's a solution in sight. Once the public gets involved, they'll get a tip, just like they did in Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, and that's why they had to put it all out there, guys, because guess what? If they didn't put it out there and couldn't solve it, then they would say, well, why didn't you solicit the public's help? Remember, in the Charlie Kirk case, it was like, oh, yeah, that's my son. Remember that? They recognized that individual. And then it was a mother and father who approached the son, Tyler Robinson, and said, it looks a lot like you. How about the Luigi Mangione when they put all of that out? That happened pretty quickly, remember? Suddenly, customers in that McDonald's in Pennsylvania said, yeah, I recognize that guy. So I do think it's smart to put it out there. What's shocking is look at the surveillance quality. Think about the difference even with the Luigi Mangione, how the pictures were pretty clear. Remember, from a youth hostel in New York. Meanwhile, we're talking Brown University and Ivy League. And yet we can't really get a good glimpse of this person's face. You just sort of see the general physique, but that's it. That could be almost anybody. It's really surprising. Let's go to Joaquin on line 3. Joaquin, your thoughts tonight on the Rita Cosby Show.
Rita, this is extremely disturbing. I was listening to a program earlier, actually, and the gentleman, he was coming from Mark Levin, and he was actually talking about many suspicious things about this, okay? Ella Cook. She was basically a minority on campus, a conservative Christian, and she was also the vice president of the College Republicans of America, and it almost seems for some reason that, in particular, she may have been targeted. I was actually trying to find, a reference as to what kind of class was going on where the shooting took place. And this whole thing where there's no actual video footage, and the police are almost like Keystone cops. There's just a huge cloud over this whole thing that's going on, And, as a side note, too, it just seems that, people should be allowed to carry firearms because it's the only way to defend yourself. And, and still it comes back, they say he shouted something. Obviously, they don't want to protect the identity because, for the most part, you can pretty much assume that probably, allegedly, was Allahu Akbar, and so,
you know what's interesting? There are reports that was shouted, right? And we don't know if that's true. But what's so weird is why wouldn't they just say it? To your point, Joaquin. And if, by the way, if that's what he shouted, we need to know it. I mean, we need to know whatever he said because, quite frankly, maybe that's helpful to figuring out who the person is, too. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you want to put it out there, not just to put it out there, because you need to be correct, but also it could also provide a clue. Maybe he said something in a different way. Maybe it's not that. Maybe that's obviously deeply important. If he did say it, it goes to motive. They're claiming they have no clue of motive. that could certainly go to motive. And just like you said, I still think there is something interesting with the fact that Ella Cook, and that's the one who was killed, who is the conservative Christian. You're right. She was head of the Republican Club, which is definitely a minority there in very liberal Brown University. So to me, that's an interesting point. Like, why would they not kind of see, was she targeted? She was one of the two that was killed. Was it coincidence that she was shot at, or was she the target? There was another guy, too, who was also killed. He was, all I've heard about him, that he was studying to be a neurosurgeon. I don't know what his political beliefs were, or was he right next to her? But there's still just so many gray questions about this case. It's really troubling. And it's not rocket science, right, Joaquin, real quick?
No, it's not. You know, something, the other question, too, is I believe that there were 9 people that were injured also.
Yep.
You know, so there's a whole lot of things that really are suspicious about this whole thing. And, you know, I really want to clarify something. You know, you had a call last night, and she said that there's 27 different versions of Islam. But she was incorrect because, you see, the Quran, it's only considered the actual Quran when it's in Arabic. And I read a copy of translation of the Quran, and the guy who wrote, you know, who translated, his name was Martin Maduke Pritchard, and he says in his foreword that, you know, he's a Muslim who happens to be an Englishman, and, you know, and that the actual Quran as translation is not considered the Quran. So it's not so much, you know, the material that's in it. It's just that it's translated into different languages. And when they do that,
by the way, Joaquin, that's very good. That's great to know. Joaquin, we're up against a hard break, but thank you very, very much. Really interesting. I'm glad you updated that. We're learning a lot. 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy, Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida, too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. All right.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. So Netflix is basically Santa this year. 2 NFL games on Christmas Day, streaming live. At 1 p.m. Eastern, it's Cowboys, Commanders. Then at 4:30, you've got Lions, Vikings. Midwest football, playoff stakes, and probably some snow. Watching holiday football is a tradition the whole family can enjoy. Open some gifts, grab some food, settle in, and watch NFL Live on Netflix this Christmas Day.
Looking for the perfect gift? Blink has you covered. With a Blink security camera, you're giving the gift of peace of mind.
A camera? Isn't that hard for them to set up?
It's simple to install anywhere, and they'll always know what's happening at home.
Okay, that's actually perfect.
Perfect indeed. Give the gift of smart security with Blink so they can check in on home from anywhere this holiday season. Shop now at amazon.com/blink.
Okay, only 10 more presents to wrap. You're almost at the finish line. But first... there, the last one. Enjoy a Coca-Cola for a pause that refreshes.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And let's continue with your calls. Let's go to Sal in Bayonne. Go ahead on line 2, Sal, your thoughts.
Hello, Rita. Rita, we have to stop saying to ourselves, oh, we're not Islamophobic. Who cares about what other people think? We have to call Islamism what it is. It's evil. They're out to destroy us. And if they call us Islamophobic, who cares? We have to stand up, fight against Islamism, because they're out to destroy the Jews, and ultimately, when they're done with them, they're out to destroy the Christians, and they're out to destroy Western civilization. And we have to stop apologizing.
Well, and you know what? I think we need to stop apologizing, especially if we use the phrase Islamic extremism. And that's why I'm always very careful, Sal, because there are people who are of the Muslim faith who are very peaceful. who, are not thinking of any of these crazy things. It is clearly radical extremists, Islamic extremists. And those folks are clearly the ones who are perpetuating, I think, hell on the Jewish people and others. And you're right. We need to call it out for what it is.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
This is Charlie. He's my part rescue dog, part whirlwind. Half of his breakfast always ends up on the floor. And he leaves fur everywhere. That's why I grabbed the Bissell Power Clean Fur Finder. It's cordless, powerful, and actually finds fur you don't even see. If you've got a pet like Charlie, you've got fur everywhere. The Power Clean Fur Finder gets that. Discover how Power Clean Fur Finder makes pet cleanups effortless at Bissell.com.
This episode is brought to you by McAfee.
I got a message that our flight was canceled. But they can put us on another flight, and we just need to confirm our credit card info.
Wait, I got a security alert from McAfee. It flagged that message as a scam.
McAfee's scam detector automatically spots and alerts you to suspicious texts, emails, and deepfake videos. Learn more at McAfee.com/online protection.
REI Co-op presents a perfect outdoor moment with the perfect gift. Picture this. You're ripping with your favorite person. Bluebird skies, blower powder, and frankly, you're skiing like legends.
So sick. Another lap?
Thanks to REI's curation, from lid to sticks, you nailed the gift.
No way. How'd you know?
Does it get more perfect than that? Give without guessing. Shop in store or visit REI.com.
Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Chamblee, Georgia, where body cam video just recently released shows police officers saving a man's life after he collapsed while working at a Jiffy Lube there. The 4 officers were called to a police business, rather to a local business, and found a workman laying on the floor who was just totally unresponsive. Police say he had a heart attack, stopped breathing, and was leaving him without a pulse. So the person called 911 and said, he is not breathing. Please come right away. Well, officers did. And they immediately started life-saving measures. They quickly determined that he needed CPR. They also brought out the automated external defibrillator from the patrol vehicle. And then after using it multiple times, it seemed that he started to breathe. It literally took more than 10 minutes of performing chest compressions until, thankfully, he started taking that breath. Officers can be heard on the videotape on the body cam saying, whew, we did it. We pulled him through. Boy, did they ever. 10 long minutes. Another officer is there saying, we put this gun on, we put the badge on, we put the vest on, and our job is catching the bad guys, but also helping to save others' life. So this was an incredible moment for all of us. Bravo to those officers, and great, great work saving that man's life, and quick response team and great, great teamwork. Also, by the way, everybody, coming up on December 20th, it is home for the holidays with Mr. Christmas himself, Vinny Medugno, live from Studio 77 in the heart of New York City. So get ready to slay your night away with live performances, ugly sweaters, and jolly friends. It is Mr. Christmas himself, Vinny Medugno, who is terrific. He is going to be singing your holiday favorites, so live in concert December 20th at WABC Studios. And for more information and tickets, go to homefortheholidays2025.com. It is Mr. Christmas, Vinnie Modugno, live in concert from WABC headquarters in Studio 77. That is homefortheholidays2025.com, and certainly a great event that you do not want to miss. Well, we are talking about so many things. The Australia case, of course, the Brown University case, Islamic extremism, and also the horrible details coming out now in the Rob Reiner case. Again, the new video tonight showing the son walking around near a gas station around midnight, and they believe that he killed his parents soon after. He's just sort of seen roaming the neighborhood. Was he buying something? Was he letting off steam? Because apparently he had a big fight with his father. Who knows? But it's very eerie to see him sort of wandering in the neighborhood aimlessly there late at night. Not a good thing, obviously, in Los Angeles. Boy, oh boy. And meantime, also, we're finding out details about the killing, that it looks like Rob Reiner, the incredible actor and incredible producer, and his wife, killed in their sleep. It's horrible when you hear the details of Rob Reiner constantly trying to help his son, over and over again, trying to push him to get into rehab. Apparently, the son was constantly high on meth, heroin, cocaine, trying everything, and saying that he wanted to stay at home. He didn't want to go back to rehab again, but clearly was relapsing left and right, and obviously had very violent tendencies. You don't suddenly go to your parents' bedroom and slit their throats. Clearly, there were enormous warning signs about his violence. People don't just snap like that. He clearly had a horrible history, and it was obvious to many around. And that's the big question. What other warning signs were out there? What other things did he say, especially that night? What caused him to snap? There are so many questions. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And here is the district attorney who came out a little bit ago talking about the case against Nick Reiner. Here it is.
We have requested, and currently Nick Reiner is being held without bail. Now, before in announcing charges, I also want to announce that they're just that. They are charges. Charges are not evidence. Evidence is something that we will be presenting in a court of law to meet the standard of proof we meet in every criminal case, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, to 12 jurors who you'll unanimously have to find that we've met that standard to prove the charges we bring to court. Right now, with respect to the process, once the charges get filed this afternoon, Nick Reiner will be then brought to court. He is going through medical clearance, something that everybody who gets arrested and gets held in a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department jail goes through. Once he is medically cleared, he will be brought to court to be arraigned on these charges. At that point, he will enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Now, prosecuting these cases involving family members are some of the most challenging and most heart-wrenching cases that this office faces because of the intimate and often brutal nature of the crimes involved. Rob Reiner was a brilliant actor and director, an iconic force in our entertainment industry for decades. His wife, Michelle Reiner, was an equally iconic photographer and producer. Their loss is beyond tragic, and we will commit ourselves to bringing their murderer to justice.
And tomorrow, Nick Reiner is supposed to be in court. That's going to be certainly an interesting moment. He's supposed to get this medical clearance. What are they going to do? He apparently has this attorney. The attorney, his name is Alan Jackson. He represented Karen Reed, who got off. Remember, she was accused of killing her police husband. Also Harvey Weinstein. So he's represented some very high profile, very hard to fight cases, if you will. He's sort of known as the guy who gets sometimes people off when the deck looks really stacked against him. This one may be well beyond that. Because even the sister apparently said, maybe you want to take a look at my brother. How hard is that? I mean, that's just gut-wrenching when you hear this, but it's horrific what happened to their parents at the hands of Nick Reiner. So it's going to be interesting to see him tomorrow in court, to see his reactions in court. Hopefully there will be cameras in the courtroom, and we'll definitely be talking about that. By the way, tomorrow night also, President Trump is going to be addressing the nation tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. He's expected to talk about his accomplishments that he did so far and what's ahead. And he might even be unveiling some things. Some people are thinking maybe he might even unveil the $2,000 for a lot of taxpayers because a lot of money's come in from the tariffs. Some people are saying it's anywhere around $200 billion. I mean, that's a whopping amount. So we'll see. He might have some interesting announcements and interesting surprises. Maybe he'll announce his new Fed chair. They're saying it's either going to be Kevin Hassett or Kevin Warsh. Could be one of them, one of the Kevins. I don't know Kevin Warsh, but Kevin Hassett is terrific. I've heard good things about Kevin Warsh, too. Anybody can be better than too late Jerome Powell. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey on line 1. Go ahead, Sandra.
Hi, Rita. Good evening. I was thinking about how he would kill these two grown people. They're big people. How can he do it together? And I visualized first he slashes one on the neck, but then the other one's going to either run away or try to hit him to protect the one he's trying to slash. So then when I learned that this was done while they were sleeping, it makes much more sense to me. But then I thought I heard that he went to a hotel, and the people at the desk said they didn't see any blood on him, but there was blood in the room. That made me think maybe there was somebody else who did this and involved with him, of course. He probably maybe got somebody else to do it. That's just a thought that I have. It's kind of
wow.
crazy.
By the way, the plot thickens because we haven't heard anything at this point. And clearly he had this fight with his father. It's interesting. When I first heard about this, and then I heard about the son having all these drug problems, you also wonder, first of all, did he obviously, and he is being accused of doing it, you would assume, because they also don't even have bail. Remember, they had a $4 million bail, so you have to believe that, of course, authorities have the goods on him. But you also wonder, did he owe money on drugs to somebody? You never know. He's clearly around a lot of lascivious people, but you would imagine that authorities seem to think it is just him because there was no proof. They didn't seem to be looking for anybody else. They didn't seem to be suggesting that there was anybody else or any harm to the neighborhood. And you could bet if it was somebody who was in addition to him or somebody that was, quote, at large, they would have said, oh, there's still an APB out. There's still another search out, unless he hasn't said anything and maybe only the forensic only points to him. But it sounds, they seem to think they've got a pretty solid case because they got him within 6 hours. So maybe he even said, who knows, maybe he said something really horrible to his parents. Maybe he went out and took some drugs. The one thing I wondered too also, Sandra, is he positioning himself for an insanity defense?
Well, I was going to say, I was going to comment to you. I was going to say that this lawyer that he has, Harry Weinstein, the one that he did Harvey Weinstein for, I think I read that he may say this guy was insane and then he'll get rehabilitation like John Hinckley got, and then John Hinckley was eventually released under rehabilitation with the plea of insanity. Look, this kid will never ever live this down what he did to his parents because there were so many good moments that they all had. This was crazy what he did, and I know he's going to have regrets. He probably won't even want to live anymore anyway after what he did. I know I wouldn't. So,
yeah, you're right. It's going to be, and the other thing too, Sandra, to prove insanity, and it's interesting, even in the Hinckley case, the mental insanity, he plotted it, he planned it, even in the Hinckley case. Remember? It was like, he was in love with Jodie Foster and all that crazy stuff. And then in this case, you could make the case that he didn't want to do it. But if he's walking around, that's why it's interesting. If he's walking around at the gas station, by the gas station with, looks like a bag, what does he have in the bag? Did he go buy a knife? Did he have a knife? It seems like they have the murder weapon. They say it was a knife. So we believe that maybe they found it in the house. And also, he goes back to the house. So that's why the timetable's very important too, because if it looks like it's the more planning, the more plotting. Also, he was not there, obviously, after the bodies were discovered. And he was found, I think it was 15 miles away near one of the college campuses. So he knew enough to leave. And all of that is going to show state of mind. It wasn't like he was sitting there still at the house saying, oh my gosh, what did I do? And called 911. He didn't do that. It sounds to me like there's some calculation and planning. And then he knew enough to leave. Apparently, there were also sheets up against the windows. And there was some thought that he had done that to sort of block everything out. To cover that too. Wow. So if he indeed did do that versus if it's the cops who did that afterwards to protect the crime scene, who knows? There could have been a number of things. There's still details coming out, but if the more planning and plotting, that certainly hurts any sort of sense of like, I just lost it, or in a crime of passion or a heated moment. And also, it'll be interesting to see, sadly, here was a Hollywood couple who seemed to have it all, obviously had a very troubled, violent child. And I find it hard to believe that he suddenly just snapped. So what I'm wondering is, will we find out that through these years, there's been other violent attacks? Obviously, not to this attack. Yeah, you don't just suddenly do this.
No.
Right, unless he was on some new drug or new high, or God, who knows? Who knows if he's going to blame it on the drugs or blame it on something? I don't know. And that's why it could be very interesting tomorrow. Who knows what happens in court? But the fact that he hired this defense attorney who is known to sort of fight cases tooth and nail, maybe what is he going to say? I didn't do it, or blame it on a local drug dealer, or blame it on, or try for insanity. But I think he's going to have a hard time with a lot of these things. It sounds to me like the LA cops are a lot better off than the Brown University cops, right, Sandra?
Absolutely, Rita. Oh, boy. I wanted to say something to you. Thursday night, we're going to have Miranda Devine at the club.
Oh, that's great. I love Miranda.
And I'm thinking, boy, oh, boy, is she going to have a lot on her plate with all that's going on. She's going to be very, very, very busy. There's so much to talk about. Oh, my God.
She's a great gal. We'll give her a hug for me. And I love Miranda. We just had her on Katz and Cosby earlier in the week. She's great. Well, Sandra, you're terrific. And keep up the great, great work. You're wonderful. We'll be back, everybody, on The Rita Cosby Show. 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana. At IKEA, your dreams can come true. Well, maybe not the ones where you're being chased by a monster. We're talking about kitchen dreams. And there are IKEA products and solutions for all of them. Whether it's a whole new kitchen, a statement glassware set, or just new cutlery. If you got big dreams or small dreams and any size of budget, IKEA can help you bring them to life. Visit IKEA.us/dreamkitchen to learn more. Dream the possibilities.
Starting your business isn't just about opening the doors. It's keeping the dream you built secure.
With New York Life, you get the financial guidance to make it real. Start today at NYL.com.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And coming up on the Rita Cosby Show, some new details also in Australia, finding out that the Israeli intelligence were warning Australia that an imminent attack could come from Islamic extremists, which is exactly what happened. But clearly, Australia trying to ignore it all, at least the prime minister was. And it sure seems like he turned a blind eye. And so many people in the Judaic community, they're absolutely outraged with the prime minister. Also, we're going to talk about some new people that are coming on board in the Mamdani transition and some of the people that might come in his administration. Some many more controversial figures with some very questionable past. And obviously, we are talking about Rob Reiner and Brown University. So much going on tonight and some new details on oil tankers in Venezuela. And President Trump preparing for a big address to the nation, 9 p.m. tomorrow. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's go to Pamela from New Jersey on line 1. Go ahead, Pamela. Your thoughts tonight.
Yeah, does anybody know who hired this lawyer and is paying for it? Because that will be interesting. Don't tell me it's from his father's estate. Oh, my God. Is he pleading he's an orphan now?
Yeah, by the way, I wondered that too. Where is it coming from? Because clearly it doesn't sound like he made a lot of money. He did some script writing, Nick Reiner. And remember, he did this film with his father too. But it doesn't sound like he had a lot of money. And it sounds like a lot of the money he did have, he used it to buy drugs. But you're right. We don't know. It could be coming from his family's estate, or maybe he had some inheritance that the parents had left him, or, had automatically in his bank account that he could only use for certain situations. You're right. It's a very important question. And it's so horrible, Pamela. Horrible.
After you die, they close the estate, and that takes a while to probate, or if it's a trust, that even takes time.
Yeah, it would be too early to that, but maybe there's some sort of agreement. I am curious too. I wondered the same thing. I don't think, I don't see how he's going to come up with this insanity defense. It sounds like he planned it, he plotted it. Obviously, he was angry at his parents, but he was roaming around. He wasn't sitting there at the scene. He left the scene. He left them to die.
And he was worried about being caught.
Yes, he knew enough. He was cognizant enough to flee the scene. And it wasn't until hours later when they found him and got him. It wasn't like he turned himself in. It wasn't like he said, I can't believe I just did this. We haven't heard any of that at this point. We may hear some more details tomorrow, but we haven't heard that yet, Pamela.
And the blood in the hotel, he must have, this is ghoulish, but hey, it was a ghoulish act. He might have collected some of the blood at the scene and brought it back to they said it was all in the bathtub too, with sheets and towels. So he might have bathed in it in his glory of, I finally have control.
Or by the way, Pamela, who knows? I mean, he sounds like a sick person, or he may have been just trying to rinse himself off. That's the other thing, too, because obviously it was a horrific scene. We're going to continue, you guys, after the break. What a time it is. Wow.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here? Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Cosby. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Cosby, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Cosby, 561-441-2730. All right.